So we are live.
I hope so.
Yes, we are. There's no audio though.
Oh well.
So we still got the intro. That's the intro playing there now, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Righty. Hopefully we are live. So this is the Global Star Party. Regular host Chris couldn't be here tonight, so I'm Paul, your emergency backup host. And if I've pushed all the buttons correctly, we should be live. With me tonight is Andrew from Australia.
Good evening. How are you?
Kevin, also from Australia.
Hey everyone.
And Grant from the UK. Hopefully.
He ducked out to get some things.
Perfect. Well, we'll get right into it then, I suppose. If we can figure out where the buttons are.
Yeah, I'm afraid for those who are watching, there is going to be a fair bit of that going on tonight. They handed the car keys to Paul, but they haven't actually told anyone how to do any of this stuff, so wish us the best of luck.
Yeah, well, as long as we don't destroy anything, we should be good. So you should be seeing an image of the Lagoon Nebula.
That must be getting very low on the horizon. Actually, Sagittarius is still good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep, it's pretty high.
I was just watching Saturn and Scorpius fade into the horizon as I came back inside.
So what can you tell us about this, Kevin?
About the Lagoon Nebula.
Yes.
It's a large star-forming hydrogen alpha region in Sagittarius. Very beautiful in long exposures. It's the view you've got there is obviously the core of the nebula, the hourglass nebula, as it was described by one of the Herschels. Don't ask me which, William or John, one of the two. And it's a very large nebula visible to the naked eye in dark sky sights, and an easy one for binoculars, even easy one for the naked eye on a good night. And very, very rich part of the sky too. So very nearby that, the Trifid Nebula, lots of good globular and open clusters around the Sagittarius and Scorpius region. So the Lagoon Nebula is the largest of all of those. And there it is in colour. You've got a one-shot colour camera focused on that at the moment, have you? That's a live shot?
This is a live shot. It took 3 30-second exposures to make this image, a red and a green and a blue.
Ah, okay, yep.
And a quick little trip through Photoshop, and we end up with this.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show what you can get with very short exposures with an object like that. You don't need to take, 3, 4, 5 hour long exposures like you must do with some of the dimmer galaxies around. The bright nebula like this one benefits from very quick treatment. That's why it's such a good eyepiece object too.
Yep, nice and bright.
Yeah, we're coming into a time of year where the eyepiece objects are getting a bit few and far between in the southern hemisphere. Sort of between Scorpius and or between Sagittarius, Scorpius, the Milky Way on that side, and Orion on the other side, where we're got I won't say a bare patch of sky, but it certainly isn't rich with visual objects.
I see Andrew might have something here in the gloom.
Yeah, I've got Tuck 47, which is a globular cluster in Tucani, and covered in cloud at the moment. It's struggling to get through, but it's just there. You can just see that in the middle there. And I'm just taking 30-second exposures at the moment to waiting for the cloud to disappear. I've got the satellite image. They're located in Adelaide, and as you can see, I've got a fair bit of cloud coming through.
So you actually, if you haven't got the one you posted to the Flickr group the other day, or actually this morning you uploaded it, of 47 Tucanae that you took, must have been last night, because it just goes to show what a very rich globular cluster that is. And not far away from the small Magellanic Cloud. So for those of us in the south, it's an easy marking post to find 47 Tucanae. It's not quite as big as Omega Centauri, but Omega Centauri is starting to get a bit close to the horizon, at least at my latitude. Paul probably still has a good view of it where he is. So have we got that up on screen now, Paul, have we?
Yeah, working on it.
Andrew's screen sharing it for us.
Should be on screen.
Yep, there it is, 47 Tucanae. So it's probably correct me if I'm wrong, it is the second brightest globular cluster in the sky after Omega Centauri. Still ahead of M13 in Hercules, the Northern Hemisphere's representation.
It's quite bright.
Well, from its designation, like Omega Centauri, 47 Tucanae was first thought to be a star and was catalogued as such. 47 Tucanae is a stellar designation, then subsequently found to not be one star but many. And don't know what reclassified as an NGC object now. Don't test me on which NGC it is, but it's obviously kept the moniker for ease, and we all call it 47 Tuck or whatever our favourite nickname is for it.
That's NGC 104 now.
104, there it is. Probably a Caldwell object too. When Sir Patrick Moore decided that the Messier catalogue just didn't quite cut it and was missing a lot of really good objects for amateur observing. Sorry? I missed that last comment. So yeah, so Patrick Moore was putting together his own catalogue. I think published it in Sky and Telescope a few years ago, a catalogue of 100 objects that he considered worthwhile amateur astronomy targets. He specifically excluded all the Messier objects as they'd previously been catalogued and were obviously very popular already, and put together a whole list of others, and unlike Messier, was able to include a lot of southern hemisphere objects. So one of the problems I'll have where I am, and Paul I'm sure, and Andrew, all of us down south here are not going to be able to put together a proper Messier collection because we just can't get as far north as some of those objects are. So the Caldwell catalogue will keep to our own, even though there's lots of Northern Hemisphere objects there. There's plenty there that Northern Hemisphere observers just won't be able to see either. And this is going to be one of them. 47 Tucanae globular cluster in Tucana, the Toucan, very close to the Small Magellanic Cloud, and a very easy target for binoculars, very easy target for naked eye if you're in the right place at the right time, and a beautiful object for photography. So, Paul, have you managed to get a look at Catalina, Comet C/2013 US 10?
Not lately. It's getting way too low for me at the moment.
Yeah, okay. What is that you've got on there now?
It's a rather dim Trifid nebula.
The Trifid. Oh, yeah, it must be getting low down in the sky too. Yeah, the Trifid Nebula is one that, also because it's quite bright, you don't require an awful lot of time integration to get a good view of it. Another one that through binoculars is visible. You're not going to see the colours, but you'll see the object. How many seconds is that exposure, Paul?
That's another combination of 30-second RGB exposures.
Yeah, it just goes to show how bright the Lagoon Nebula is when you compare it to that. Yeah, it's quite faint. So for those of us who are in the south, so Catalina that I just mentioned, that is in Centaurus at the moment and setting early in the evening sky. I managed to snag about half an hour of acquisition on it this evening, and we'll get to work on processing that afterwards. But it's not something that I had to bring the computer inside because I just can't broadcast from out by the poolside, as nice as that would be. Get some live views of the comet. But I can probably bring up what I did obtain earlier. Unfortunately, the Photoshop isn't very good at screen sharing. So, but I'll see how I go. I don't know how much of that you're able to see, Paul.
There's no image there.
Nothing. Can you see the Photoshop app up?
Yep, we can see Photoshop app.
Okay. Well, I'll just do quickly. I'll just do some levels and a stretch, and then I'll save it as a JPEG, just in the interest of getting something out into the public domain.
Well, while we're waiting for that, we'll click back onto Andrew and see what he's up to.
Yeah, not a lot going on at the moment. I've still got a lot of cloud coming through. So we're just looking through some of the flicker pictures, I guess we could.
That'd be perfect.
Yes, this is the Supermoon Lunar Eclipse edition of the Global Star Party.
I think you can see that.
We can.
I'm not too sure on the pronunciation of that fellow's name. So, very nice photos there. was really good watching a lot of the photographers from the Northern Hemisphere taking the images, because it was not visible from Australia at all. So it was really good watching other people take the photos for a change, instead of myself running around and taking a lot of photos. Here we have Ralph Smythe, partial. On. And I think we also have one from, that's showing some of the stars in the field. And we've also got one from Chris, who did some very good work on capturing this event. He was using his telescope, and yeah, he managed to capture, I think, pretty much all of it. I'm not too sure whether he caught the last partial phase, but he did very well. This was his first lunar eclipse, apparently, so he did very well.
It's an awesome sequence.
It is. Another one from Ralph. And there's just hundreds of photos there of the eclipse, and one from Michael Rector, showing lots of the stars around the during totality.
Oh, that's right. He posted that on Google Plus. That's an awesome shot.
Very dark red, as it was almost through the middle of the umbra, which is the darkest part of the shadow of the Earth.
Today's APOD, which I don't know whether we're allowed to broadcast those, or copyright issues and whatnot, but they made the point that just as the moon's approaching the penumbra, that there's a blue tinge that develops because the scattering of the light goes from the red of the sunset through more to the more traditional Rayleigh scattering effect blue on the edge there. You can't see that so much there. It looks very yellow at the edge, but the today's NASA APOD showed a very distinct blue blue margin on the sunlit side. Very special experience to have watching a total lunar eclipse. It's just one of those things where you get large groups of people staring straight up and just going, ooh.
There's certainly a lot of photos in the Flickr group. If you
There's a massive amount of images.
So that is, I think you've got my photo there of Comet Catalina up on view there, Paul.
we do.
So C2013 designated, it's not a periodic comet, it's a first-time visitor to our part of the solar system, and last time as well. My Sky Safari app lists its orbit as infinite, so we shall not see this one again. It has been lingering around for a while. It's been in the skies for quite some months now. Obviously discovered in 2013, so not a particularly fast-moving target. Now in Centaurus, I do believe it's going to be heading north on its way out, but it's pretty much at its brightest at the moment. You can see there the nucleus of the comet, the star trails as a result of me stacking the images based on the comet rather than the stars. and I've used nebulosity for that. So unlike in PixInsight where you can do stacking on the stars, do stacking on the comet separately and merge the images later so that you don't get the star trails in there. This is what I've done tonight. I haven't colour balanced it yet, but perhaps you can see a bit of green tinge and tail heading towards the top right of the image. I don't know, Paul, you do a lot of cometary imaging. I find comets a very difficult target to get the exposure right.
They are, especially processing them to try and get rid of all those pesky stars.
I know, it is a nuisance. That's the beauty of PixInsight, actually. You just subtract all the stars out, stack on the comet, and then add them back into a stacked image of the stars with the comet taken out later. I remember doing that with Comet Lovejoy when it was about a year ago or thereabouts.
Yes, PixInsight definitely does a good job of that.
DSS and nebulosity can't really cover it either. Yeah, so anyone who's south and is in a dark sky site could probably catch that as a naked eye object at magnitude 6.1. It is currently, according to Cal Sky anyway. So it should be visible from dark sites. I tried with binoculars last night, but I could not make it out in suburban skies. But obviously with long exposures, 15-second exposures here, 97 of them. So you're able to see the comet quite clearly and even a hint of tail there. So there we have that. So not much in the planetary realm at the moment, although Uranus is up and about, and I made a crude joke to the boys earlier, which I won't repeat, but I'll be heading out to try to image Uranus later on.
Neptune will be there as well.
Neptune's there as well. It's very hard. I mean, I don't have nearly a big enough telescope to make out the disk of Neptune. With Uranus, I can at least get the disk and some colour, and with a bit of luck and good seeing, I might be able to get some moons as well. I find Neptune it's easy to find, but it's not a very rewarding imaging target.
Yeah, you need a light bucket for that one.
Oh, absolutely. My 8 inches just doesn't quite cut it. How do you do, Paul? Do you get much Neptune, or you don't bother?
No, I don't bother with those planets anymore.
Well, it's considering they're the only ones that are available to us at the moment.
True, yeah.
I'm just not a morning person. Jupiter and Mars just not cutting it for me at 4 in the morning. Not enough to drag my sorry backside out of bed anyway.
Well, yeah, if it's not up high enough, 5 o'clock you start breaking dawn, so it wouldn't be worth it.
Yep. And Mars certainly wouldn't be. Got a little while to wait before he comes around again for opposition. Although tomorrow night I will be catching him up close. Gold class tickets to see The Martian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's supposed to be good.
Well, it was a good story. I did read the book earlier in the year. It's a very good story, awkwardly written, but a good story nonetheless. I'm sure Ridley Scott was capable of turning it into quite an engrossing movie. Hopefully, a little bit better than that last one he did, Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we shall talk of that no longer. So, what else have we got going on live at the moment? Oh, Paul's got the Tarantula Nebula.
You
showing that live, Paul?
He must have no clouds.
It's at the land of the long white dark sky.
Lovely clear night tonight.
It is, taking full advantage of it. So we've got the Tarantula Nebula there in living colour. Now, Paul, we had a bit of a discussion, Dylan and I, about the colour that he was getting in some of his images, and me too. I've found that the Tarantula Nebula has a distinctly green tinge to it, no matter how you try to balance the colours. is it actually green, or is it that's just a trick of the processing, or the light pollution, or the air glow, or some other phenomenon?
Doesn't really turn out green in these images. So I think it's probably more just an artifact of a one-shot color camera compared to the filtered camera like this one.
It is the price you pay, isn't it? The ease of time. For those of us in temperate climates with lots of rainfall and rainy seasons, filter imaging is just not very attractive. One-shot color just makes life so much easier. We never get the sort of detail that that guys who do filter imaging can get, but you take what you can.
Mate, it's being lazy. That's what it is, I think. Yeah. I used to use monochrome, but I went to color. I got sick of it.
I think it's just you spend a whole lot of time, and you have to take hours of imaging every night on the same object when you could just get it all at once.
Yeah, but you never get the same result. But anyway.
Oh, absolutely not. Well, for my planetary imaging, I always use filters, but here we're talking minutes of acquisition, not hours.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I was doing that live a few weeks ago, and on the tarantula, and it's definitely on a color. It definitely comes up green.
Yeah, I guess there's twice as many of those pixels as there are the others, so it's inevitable. You have to spend quite a bit of time in post-processing trying to get the true colors to come through.
Well, they're saying that the green is a false color, but then again, I don't know. If you heat up copper, you get green. So I don't know. You get.
Well, and if you have a lot of local air glow too, the ionized oxygen in the higher parts of the atmosphere glows green as well. So that's another element that adds a green tinge to some imaging. So there's obviously a combination of factors, and you do what you can in the post-processing to try and make it look as, inverted commas, natural as you can. Now, what is natural with any of the colours of these objects? We look at them through the eyepiece of even the largest telescopes, and they are black and white. Our eyes, our cones just cannot get they've got the light perception, they just haven't got the colour perception. Or is it the rods? I can't remember. Here I am, the doctor of the group. Yes, it's the cones. The cones are the colour. There, the cones observe colour. Oh, so Paul's beefed up the time there. I can see a bit more detail around the edge of the nebula there. Or am I just imagining that, Paul?
This is 30 seconds of hydrogen alpha.
So there is a bit more detail.
Shows you how much red is actually in that image in the nebula.
Yeah, not green at all.
Yeah. I see John has joined us. Very dull, John.
Yeah, no, he's there somewhere. I think he's.
I am. Sorry.
I seen his head pop up.
Oh, hang on, there he is.
I'm here.
He's out by the telescope.
Yeah.
Clear skies.
Yeah, clear skies. Technical difficulties. That'd be about right.
Yeah, they're hand in hand.
I've just had to swap scopes and everything over. I've kept the mount, but I've had to reset everything. So I'm just in the process of just trying to reset the guiding.
A little bit soft on the audio there, John.
Sorry, Grant. I don't want to wake all the neighbours. Because they think I'm mad as it is without me shouting it across the.
I guess everyone. For the ones that don't understand, they say you're talking at a computer, mate. They probably do think you're crazy.
Yeah, fair point. Right, I'm just going to drop out. I'm going to try and get this sorted so I can get something before the end of the thing. So just give me a bit of time, guys.
Yeah.
No, get yourself sorted. It's the technical difficulties of getting astronomy equipment set up for live viewing. It's a special thing, isn't it?
Yes.
There's
Yes, it definitely is.
been a few times I've tried to join the chat and either the internet's not behaved or my audio hasn't behaved or the telescope hasn't behaved, and then when it's all come together the weather hasn't behaved, and there it is. That's astronomy.
Yes, the the elements that we put ourselves through.
Still good fun.
Fun.
It is
Hang on,
fun.
I'm gonna get a dictionary and work that out.
You know, who was it? Someone was talking one of these shows previously that I missed about remote imaging and setting up or paying to get time on a large caliber telescope in New Mexico or Coonabarabran or something. And you know, for me, it's the astronomy version of a bordello. There's nothing quite like getting your own equipment, setting it up out in your backyard, fiddling knobs, putting things in plugs, and just stuffing up your own imaging rather than calling the help desk and saying those images I got last night for $49.95 were hopeless and I want my money back. There's nothing quite like getting out there and getting frustrated.
There's a gentleman in Coonabarabran that actually does.
Did you just mention we could do it for only for $50 an hour?
Oh no, I picked a number out of there. I don't know what the actual prices of the eye telescope are. I did look at them once, and I thought that's extortion. They're nice telescopes and all, but that's just outrageous. The prices they're asking for, and you can't just buy a session. You have to buy a subscription, and you're there month after month. This is going on all permanent audio. Peter Lake's going to see this, isn't he?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
it's a great thing for those who want it.
It's a great idea, and if it was cheaper, I would no doubt be participating in it. But you know what I said before was right. You get out there, you set up your equipment, you buggerize around. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. You got no images, and then something else goes wrong, and then the clouds come over. It's just a great hobby.
I think all that's valid. I think the thing about something like our telescope and remote telescope, because I was involved a long time ago in the robotic telescope over at Tomberden and the Bradford Robotic Telescope. It's great for people who have absolutely no ability to attain this equipment or to attain the skies in order to do something. So I think, while I agree with you, the tinkering around and the fiddling and the making things work and resolving issues is the bit that I enjoy. But
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's a fair call. But I mean, the sort of people who are paying to use those services, they're people who are at a well advanced stage in their processing. I mean, it's a big commitment to download data from those sort of telescopes and even just process it. So mostly it's people who are at a very advanced stage in their hobby, and they just can't get to a dark sky site, or they're limited because they're in one hemisphere and the thing they want to image is in another hemisphere. So I mean, there's definitely many different reasons why you'd go for a system like that.
Is there anything in the north worth shooting?
I hear that there are. I know this time of year you see a lot of images of the Veil Nebula and its various components. And I don't know whether I miss not being able to get that, or with my setup I doubt whether, even if it was visible here, I wouldn't be able to see it. The Heart and Soul, yes. I mean, we've got such a plethora of objects on the south that I don't know that we miss that too much. We're not too hard done by down here.
No, it's a different kettle of fish down here, I suppose.
But as I was saying earlier, not this time of year. It's not so bountiful.
No. Sculpture's coming around. NGC 253 is coming around. That's meandering its way around. Because I tend to shoot. I don't know about anybody else, but I tend to shoot from the meridian down to the west. I know some people shoot the other way, but because of the way that my I can only really see things from the north to the west anyway, where I am.
Yeah, you still got a fair chunk of stuff in the west.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still, well, as Paul's been showing us some stuff in Sagittarius there, so that's still high in the sky, and we've got Corona Australis and lots of globulars, lots of bright nebulae there. There's a few galaxies coming into view and through Sculptor there, and Capricornus. There's a few Messier objects. And then if you're up late enough, Orion's starting to rise again. We're going to start seeing Orion Nebula images back online again.
Yeah, Orion. I think I get to see Orion about 2 o'clock. I think 2:30, something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's just after midnight here we start to see it come up.
Yeah, sounds about right. So, just I don't know where have we got an itinerary for tonight, or are we just?
No, we're just winging it because Chris has sent a sick note in, and Dylan's having some technical issues, so we're holding our own as best we can.
Okay. So I'm just setting up here to shoot with. I'm using Google Hangouts on my phone, so unfortunately I can't screen share anything.
That's okay.
So I apologise for that. Because I'm outside. But
so
I'm just setting up SGP at the moment. I've just done the guided.
So we can, I guess, go back to the Flickr group because there's a couple of things that have been posted that weren't lunar eclipse images.
Didn't Chris do a galaxy not long ago?
He did. He did M81, and this was his first attempt. He said, of according to the note that he made, his first attempt making sure drift alignment was working. That's what it was. It was drift alignment. It was a stack of M81, which I've got up on my screen now, Paul. So I might just see if I can possibly screen share that for you, unless you want to bring it up.
It's all on you, Kevin.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I don't have control.
Okay, what is?
Yeah, let's see. Hang on, that might work better. So, there it is. There. So I'll share. That's Chris's M81 stack, and Chris isn't here to defend himself, but the stars are round. And you can see which is a good start. So I'd say his alignment isn't so bad. But you can see, I don't know if you can see my cursor there, you can see the core of the galaxy quite easily, but also around the rim of the galaxy, you can see all the bright star forming regions, or the hydrogen alpha regions dotted around the rim of the galaxy, or in the spiral arms of the galaxy there. So yeah, he's got the start of something there. It was just a test shot that he wanted to post just to show everyone that he's started to come to grips with this new equatorial mount that he's purchased.
What was it processed in?
Yeah.
He said, hang on, let me see if I
don't think he says anything on it.
He just says learning how to drift align with PhD2, and this is a stack of 25 10-minute subs.
Oh, wow.
So I know if I left my telescope lined up on any target for 10 minutes, there you'd see nothing round. So no, he's coming to grips with it, and yeah, hopefully he'll climb that learning curve steeply. He seems to have done so. He's taken to it with great enthusiasm. Armit Kale, are you still screen sharing me there, Paul?
I am.
Yeah, Armit Kale has put the fireworks galaxy, a wide angle shot of the fireworks galaxy NGC 6946, and so there's an open cluster there in the view, and if we can come in closer on that, there we go. Not such a bad image there from Armit. Lots of colours in the stars around there. And he doesn't say much in the notes. Oh, here we go. Yes, he does. He says heaps in the notes. What am I talking about? So that is with the C11 Edge HD with a hyperstar, and
nice.
he's using a ZWO ASI 120. Oh, no, it's guiding. Whew, I was going to say, if he's getting that with an ASI 120, he's brilliant. No, he's using a DSLR.
Have you seen a 174? Have you seen people shoot?
Yes, no,
shot with a 174.
Yeah, I think Michael Phillips is using that for his planetary imaging now, just completely insane frame rates.
Yeah, I saw a guy borrow one for planetary imaging, but he came in and shot M16, 10-second shots, no guiding, 50 of them, stacked it. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's like anything. You can make it do it, but it's just not designed for it.
Yeah. But it was interesting.
No. They're really good cameras, those ones. I mean, I haven't tried using my QHY 5L2 for any deep sky imaging. Tend to go to the one-shot color for that. So, scrolling through more lunar.
More moon.
Some more blurry lunar eclipse images.
I think we're living by the moon at the moment.
Well, yeah, there's some lunar sky. There's a Russell. Oh, there's the boss. Mr. Bateman's posted a mosaic of the waning gibbous moon there a couple of nights ago. With his 127mm Schmidt Cassegrain. Yeah, moon's in a bad place for us in the south at the moment in Taurus and Gemini. It's just too low down to get good imaging. Didier Auberger with some star trails.
That's quite interesting.
I think
Yeah, so somewhere in France by the look of things. With a name like that, it's not surprising. I don't know, Didier. I haven't seen him on the Google Plus forums, and I don't know if he's a regular guest on the program, but he's happy to upload the images to Flickr, and we appreciate it.
I haven't seen one. I think he's got one there of Jupiter with a few moons as well.
I think that's an older one. Yeah, that's an older image. I think that's from March of 2014.
Oh, there you go.
My
French is a bit rusty, but I think Mars is March.
Yeah.
I thought Grant was quiet. He's muted himself.
Who has?
I thought Grant was quiet. He's muted himself.
Is he back, or is he?
Yes,
is he
back.
You can see him active there. Grant, unmute yourself. So yes, Monsieur Auberger has been prolific in uploading to the Flickr group, but some of these are older images. And Paul Stewart, some
nice.
calcium K sun there. It's just beautiful. I love the crackliness of it. It's just, you can just hear it like snap, crackle, and pop on the sun there. Big fan of calcium K.
Unfortunately, these two sunspots are now rotated off the limb, so you won't get those anymore.
No, the sun's been unusually active, has it not? We were expecting it to sort of quieten down.
Has been very interesting. There's been quite a few flares this week.
You, Paul, you were responsible for us running out and using the Lunt scope, because one of your images was posted onto Google, and I showed everybody at work, and then they were like, cool, so I went outside and ran the PST through.
Excellent.
So thank you for inspiring us to...
Now, I'm sure you've been through this before, Paul, you must have done, but to do calcium imaging, do you use the H-alpha Lunt scope, or do you need to use a separate scope?
No, it's a totally separate scope. This one's just a cheap refractor with a Lunt calcium K module stuck on the back end of it.
On the back end. So what do you have on the front end?
Absolutely nothing.
So it just lets all the sunlight in and just filters out the calcium K at the imaging end.
Yep, it's got a big blocking filter at the front to reject all the nasty stuff, and only the calcium K light comes through.
So if you were to get a hydrogen alpha filter for your regular scope, you generally put that on the front of the scope, don't you?
Hydrogen alpha, like the quark, you would put that on the back of the scope too.
That goes on the back, and you don't need to put any extra protection on the front of the scope. You let all the light in.
Up to a point, at larger aperture scopes, you need to start filtering or you start burning things out.
So what sort of aperture are you talking here?
I think they say below 80 is all right, and after that you've got to start putting extra filters in.
80 millimeters.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about quite small telescopes then.
Yes.
Yep. So I wouldn't
But
put one on my LX90. Wouldn't agree too well with that sort of approach.
They don't make one for the 90, but they are starting to make one for the smaller Smith scopes, I believe.
And I guess that just means I'll have to fork out for a separate scope for solar. That was a sigh.
Get yourself a cheap refractor from somewhere.
And so there's again, oh hang on, it says today's calcium K sun, but that's not true.
There must have been a few days ago, that one.
So some filaments there. Did you upload the one with that lovely dragon-looking filament?
Should be in there somewhere.
The one that I said was a seahorse, and my imagination just wasn't bright enough. The Southern Pinwheel M83 by John Mills. That's a lovely little shot.
Yes. Yes, that was me.
Yeah, no, good. So how describe that?
That's a one-shot colour. The Orion Parsec camera.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it? I mean, you get really good images from one-shot colour. You know, you're not going to publish them in...
No, it's not. It's very quick and easy for certain things if you're just testing stuff or if you're just running. I quite like it. I just treat it as a cool DSLR. I don't see it as any more than that. So, but that was an interesting image because that image wouldn't, no matter what I tried, it wouldn't star align in PixInsight.
Oh,
but it would in nebulosity. It would in nebulosity.
Well,
So
there you
it's
go.
a bit weird.
Yeah, no, Nebulosity is a program that I like to use because it cost me like $70 instead of $700.
Yeah.
But you can't do nearly as much with it. Yeah, it's good for aligning. I found it's.
Yeah, I mean it's the only image I've come across that's actually been a problem. All the rest have been alright. For some reason, just that one. But that suffers from not having enough frames, and it didn't have any flats. So I had to push it to the black point, hence why it's a bit darker than I would normally do. Otherwise, it looks horrendous. It's got lots of things.
So when we get it up to full image size, sorry to do that to you. I should have left it, shouldn't I? Yeah, it's a little bit noisy, isn't it? Yeah. Thanks. That's right. Don't mention it. I'm moving right along. More lunar eclipse. So thanks everyone for uploading the lunar eclipse shots. It's just such a special thing to be a part of, and when you get images, you just want to share them. Oh, Paul, that's just brilliant. That's an older one, isn't it? That was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
That would have been a few days ago, I think.
A few days ago, was it? Uploaded September 30. Okay, so that's a lovely little prominence and some nice action down below it there on the surface as well.
That would have been your seahorse rotating over the limb.
Ah, it doesn't look much like a seahorse there now, does it? Yes, a lunar eclipse, very good. So they're from Ralph Smith. Lovely little borders and captions he's put on them. And that was Chris's, you showed that earlier. Where's my seahorse?
What is that?
I don't know, I've lost it.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, there it is. That's nice. That's nice. That's blurry. Okay, I should go back to the group and it'll be there somewhere. So, how are you doing there, Paul? Have you lined up on anything interesting? Oh, there he is. Now, who's that? That's you, Paul? Yeah. I'm thinking that's a seahorse. I can't see a dragon in that. It's lovely nonetheless.
Yep, that was
So-
taken through the Lunt LS80 with a 2.5 times power mate on the end.
So it's quite variable seeing there, because correct me if I'm wrong. It's the filament on the image on the left is just a little bit less distinct than the one on the right. Yet the sunspot activity on the right of the image looks much sharper on the left image than on the other. Or is that just that glass of wine I finished?
No, it doesn't look that way. I think the filament was further around on the limb on the left-hand side, so it's probably
Are
just a
they-
little bit out of focus.
Are they different days, are they? Or
Yep.
Hmm.
Day after each other.
Ah, right, there you go. So yeah, it's just variable seeing. And some white light there from Monsieur Auberger. There's Chris's M81 we saw earlier. Oh, there's a lucky shot.
That never
Moon.
happens down here.
Airplane crossing the sun on the 26th of June. And presumably a different airplane. 28th of June. He lives near an airport, I would take it. An iridium flare, perhaps. Yes, iridium flare. And some sunflowers. Is a Renaissance astrophotographer. M33. You can just see the core of the galaxy in here. Some traces of the spiral arms. From David Simonetti. Thank you, David, or David, should I say? He's in the United Kingdom, Stamford Hill. Won't give you the full address. Nice lunar shots, Crab Nebula. Ah, that's the one that's the one you showed, Paul. I mean, that would be really nice to just be able to do what Paul does and have a full dome and everything set up ready to go. Just go in, switch it on and start imaging instead of spending an hour getting alignment. And well, here it is.
Doing what I'm doing, which is getting the focus for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, it'd be nice to just step outside and turn it on and go. There it is, the Great Orion Nebula, first of the season, uploaded September 25th. Got an early bird, or someone an insomniac. Oh no, a reprocessed from an earlier image.
Oh, there you
Well,
go.
Kevin, here we go. Got it live.
What do we got there? So the Trifid Nebula. So where are you? So, sorry, you got it live. Hang on, wait a minute. You're is that so? It's risen now. What time is it there, Paul? 2 o'clock.
Just about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Just about 1.
Yeah, that'll be done.
So there we are, the first live Great Orion Nebula of the year.
Still low in the trees, but I got it.
So just see the core of it there with the trapezium right in the middle of the core there. So there it is. It'll get better as the year goes on. I'm sure we'll see the Flickr group filling up with images of the Orion Nebula and its surroundings. So it is a little bit of a shame that you've got the only live telescope tonight, Paul. It's a shame Dylan couldn't get in. It's a shame that I can't get internet access outside.
It's a shame I started off on the wrong telescope.
It's a shame Andrew's got a cold front moving through.
Yeah, same as here in Melbourne. I pretty much got what Andrew's got.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh well, there's always a couple of weeks' time.
Beautiful day. Had a beautiful day, but just the night went to crap.
Yeah, no, we got lovely clear skies out there tonight.
I'm in Sydney, and it's not. The skies are clear, but they're not very good. They're very glowy. But I'm suburban, so.
Do you normally do narrowband?
Yeah, I'm shooting HA at the moment. That's what I'm trying to do. I've just got focus. So it's 9:57, so I think by 9:59 I might actually have an image.
That's right. We've still
I'm shooting Helix NGC 5372.
Yeah, well, that requires a fair bit of time to get any detail out. I've had no luck with that particular object.
I've had no luck with focusing on this object. I had a complete fluke one night where I just shot it just to see what it looked like, and the focusing was spot on and everything worked brilliantly. And then I decided then, as usual scenario, because the weather's been a bit erratic to say the least around this side of the coast. I came back a couple of weeks later, tried to focus on it, couldn't work, couldn't drift, couldn't align, it was anything. It's been my nemesis so far. It has.
It's the fun bit.
What was that internet address? iTelescope what?
The astronomy equivalent of a brothel.
Oh, that sounds all right to me. Give Chris something to edit. He doesn't have something to edit. So I've got 60 seconds left. Oh, you can transmit anything from here.
Oh, there it is. Have you got that up, Paul?
Oh, well.
Oh,
that's pretty
it's gone.
Yeah, I saw that briefly.
There it is, back again. That is beautiful.
It's not going to look that good.
What, for a live view, or what amounts to it?
I don't think that's live. I think Andrew is showing us something pre-processed.
I'm going to say it's not live, is it?
That can't be live.
No.
What are you showing us, Andrew?
Well, that's the Helix Nebula. It's the same trouble I have with it, is that you can't see all of it all in one field of view with the camera that I use, on the scope that I use. It's a very large and diffuse object, and faint for that same reason.
Need to purchase a focus reducer, mate.
I do. I've got a 6.3 and a 3.3. There's a Meade 3.3 focal reducer, but it produces such wicked coma at the edges that it's all but useless for anything. That image of the comet that I showed earlier was with a 3.3 focal reducer. There's no way I could image an object of that size with the Meade DSi 2 camera that I use. It's just such a small chip. The field of view is tiny. I can't get the Orion Nebula in all the view at once.
Yeah.
So that's looking all right, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's a live view, we can all go home.
Yeah, that's 120 seconds on Helix.
Oh, that is absolutely special. Glad we waited for that.
So what was it? Was it you, Trevor, who said you want to buy a reducer?
Well, mate, I have to. With the 12 and 16 inch, mate, yeah, I need to.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my little short refractor. So that's a 600 and odd focal length.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I got there in the end, guys.
Well done. Just in a nick of time.
Yeah. Cool.
So it's 1 minute past 10. So, Paul, have you got the car keys there?
I do. I suppose we should wrap up.
We should call it a night.
So
Do
I'd like to
apologise for the disorganised nature of the evening, everyone who's been watching. Chris will be back, I'm sure. I hope. Please, Chris, come
Yes,
back.
please. Well, I'd like to thank everyone in the hangout here, especially Kevin, who helped us with the commentary there.
Always a pleasure.
Perfect. Don't think Grant quite managed to capture the sun there, but he was in the hangout.
Well, he's not going to capture the sun in there, is he?
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew, for trying to grab something through those clouds.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
And Trevor for joining us. A bit of commentary there.
Yep, no problem, mate. It's good to be in the crowd.
Thanks, Trevor.
So that's
well, as you can see, the roof's still shut because it's cloudy. Sorry about that. We can't do anything with the weather.
Well, that was the Global Star Party today. We sort of made it through okay, I think. And we'll catch you next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Later.